testers that do not code?
I hire testers who do not code.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of value in exploratory testers.
Are you sure? Yeah, stand up so people can see you.
I do hire testers who are exploratory testers. Do testers are exploratory? Oh, I think I'm hungry now. Yes, I do hire exploratory testers. I do hire estates. Well, two of them are sitting next to me. I hire them because I need to understand. I first think about what's the strategy for delivering the product and what is the real need. Exploratory testers bring a lot of value to the product you're testing. I think exploratory testing is an art which I think people who write code sometimes do not have. And it's a balance again. And I also feel exploratory testers should be given the time and the space and the mental energy to actually use the application and ask the questions that the people writing the code don't want to answer. So yes, exploratory testers are important and we do have them. Yes?
Yes.
Does that mean that you don't think people can do both? Within the same team, that someone can't be both an aesthetic and an explosion tester?
What do you think?
I think no. So I've done it and I don't think you can do both. And I think when we hire for people trying to get people to do both, you force them into one of the two.
Yeah, because I feel as testers, quality engineers, whatever name of the role, we're already trying to fight this battle of influencing, and to add that on top that you have to do exploratory testing and you have to write automated tests at the same time is not fair. I think that's where they should be separated as roles for sure, but then again the conversation comes in with the salaries and why is it a conversation with testers that, oh, well, you need 2 testers, they're more expensive. You never say that the developers are expensive, they're more expensive. But these are the things which actually then hinder us in many ways. But yes, I agree, we should have people with 2 different mindsets.
Any more questions? Gentlemen,
Yes, please.
An observation through your talk, which is really good, and Claire this morning, is, in the world of testing and engineering, we're in a big rush, aren't we? Agile has introduced this culture of releasing quickly and often, and we celebrate releasing quickly and often. And what I've observed is that does come sometimes at a compromise, which is the quality and the testing. And I think, like I said, it's just an observation. I think it's become more of a challenge for me as a test manager and as a test folk to really advocate the value in good testing and exploratory testing, as well as the value we get from automation. Because everyone just wants to automate everything, and we're focused on CI and continuous delivery. And I think it's great for recruiting exploratory testers as well as sort of SDETs or test automation engineers. And it makes me think about the justification of we need both types. And I'm interested in the guy's comment there as well of like we can't have both. Because actually the focus is really a lot on we need more automation testers because we've got more manual coverage to automate, because we're in this rush to run tests as quickly as possible to get releases out the door. So I think that's a challenge we have, right, in allowing time for good testing as well as test automation, just allows us to move through.
Yeah, I think it just follows on from what I said earlier, that how many times have you been in teams where the tester actually picks up the feature at the same time as the developer? If we push for that, I think that will help us reduce that rush. Also, it's funny you brought that up because you were talking about this triangle of cost, time, and quality, right? And quality is the one which always goes. And then the QA managers are the ones who brought into the room saying, the release was late, the client is finding bugs. Well, hello? I mean, and then you go away and create that data, how much cycle time, etc., and then you're thinking, I know this answer, why do I still have to provide stats to prove my point? Which is what winds me up a lot. That we all know better, so why don't we actually do these things ourselves?
I think we've got time for one more.
question is, if you ever consider the test architect position, which could solve the many parts of these problems, for my perception, it's a person who sits and interacts directly with developers on the start of the development, and by the end of the development, the strategy, the model of testing should be ready and kind of to consume by the SDETs or the whatever person picks the feature.
Right, so the gentleman here, for people who couldn't hear, at the back, I was saying that, have you considered a test architect role, because that's the person who will work with the team early on and define the framework and everything. Again, it's the test architect won't have enough work to do, is another argument I've heard.
I've been one, and I can tell you that it's not a role that fits well in some organisations. And I eventually transitioned into what's essentially a test coach, or a test jumper is another word that's come up. I think the roles, yeah, it's something that James Bott came up with a few years ago in the metadata that I worked for in Hammersmith. They employed that particular role instead of coach. I think to help, I don't wish to answer the question, but I wish to help maybe reflect on the question. We've had this kind of debate about what role types we fit into. I imagine there are some of us in the room that maybe fit heavily in one or the other, or might have skills that suit a technical role versus an exploratory role. I think exploratory testing is highly technical, or can be highly technical. It doesn't mean manual testing. We've had this, it's been going on for years and years where we fit in teams, and I think that debate's still going to be raging for another 10, 20, 30 years, well, long after I've retired probably, or maybe the machines have taken over. I don't think we're ever going to solve this problem. What I think, though, that you've championed in this talk is how we can raise our awareness and our game in terms of being supportive of technical testing and technical testers, and regardless of what we call them now. I think that's important. There's a lot to be said for the architect role, but you can bring normal testers in earlier, and they define the strategy.
Just to add to that, so there are people I know, I have worked with, and for me as someone in test leadership, so if you have an SDET who's at level 3, let's say, and they want to stay the IC route, they do not want to become managers, which I completely respect.
Yes.
And they turn around to me and they say, what's next? In my head, I'm thinking, you are designed to be an architect, a test architect, to help work with the developers to make things testable, right? Performance testing frameworks, how we work with pipelines, etc. All of that technical capability these people can bring into the team. And that's the argument I have then. But then, as you were saying, exploratory testers are highly technical. Some things I look for when I look for exploratory testers are that I want them to be able to go into boxes and be able to trace through log files and things like that. But then the project I'm in, there's a big engineering team in Asia, and they are proper manual testers. Like, they go through an Excel sheet. There are test cases written over there, which they have not written, somebody else has given to them, and they just execute it day in and day out, and they will come and say, oh, I've used this version of the phone and it doesn't look right, because there was a screenshot in that spreadsheet, which they were matching it with, but that screenshot didn't match the designs which were updated. Those are manual testers, whereas exploratory testers I look for, I expect them to be able to go through log files and do root cause analysis to find out where the issues are. But again, they're not writing automation code.
Again, and the model of your organisation, or the organisations you work with, kind of define how those roles of work with. It's a big challenge. We have run out of time. It's now lunchtime.
But I'm around for
please
questions.
contact Marion.